In a landmark decision, South Africa's highest court sent shockwaves through the world of agriculture and biotechnology. The Supreme Court of Appeal overturned previous approvals for genetically modified organisms, or GMOs. The journey of GMOs in South Africa began decades ago with early research and initial crop trials. This ruling marks a pivotal moment. It underscores the growing global concern over the safety and societal impact of GMOs. Key players in this debate include biotech companies, farmers associations, and environmental groups. The court's decision prioritizes precaution and public interest over corporate profits. The immediate impact of the decision was felt across the country, with varied reactions from different sectors. This ruling has profound implications. It affects not only South Africa, but also the global landscape of food production. It raises fundamental questions about the role of technology in agriculture. It also highlights the importance of safeguarding biodiversity and human health. South Africa's journey with GMOs has been marked by both hope and hesitation. The initial introduction of GMOs in the late 1990s held the promise of increased crop yields and a potential solution to food insecurity. Farmers were particularly enticed by the prospect of drought-resistant and pest-resistant crops, which seemed like a dream come true in a country often plagued by harsh weather conditions and pest infestations. The promise of GMOs was not just about higher yields. It was about ensuring that every child had enough to eat and that communities could thrive without the constant fear of famine. Among the GMOs approved were maize, soybeans, and cotton, each engineered for specific traits like herbicide tolerance and insect resistance. However, as these genetically modified crops began to take root, concerns quickly arose. Questions lingered about the long-term environmental and health impacts of these genetically modified organisms. Would they harm the soil? Could they affect human health in unforeseen ways? Critics argued that GMOs could contaminate non-GMO crops, leading to unintended consequences for farmers who chose to remain GMO-free. They feared a loss of biodiversity, a critical concern in a country known for its rich and varied ecosystems. The potential for corporate control over the food supply also sparked alarm. Many worried that a few large biotechnology companies could gain too much power over what people eat. Despite these concerns, GMO cultivation continued to expand in South Africa. Farmers, driven by the promise of higher profits and better yields, increasingly turned to genetically modified seeds. The government, influenced by lobbying from biotechnology companies, largely promoted GMO adoption. This support was seen in various policies and subsidies that favored GMO crops. The recent court ruling reflects these deep-seated anxieties. It highlights the ongoing struggle between innovation and caution, between the promise of technology and the preservation of tradition and natural biodiversity. The Supreme Court of Appeal's decision to overturn GMO approvals is rooted in the precautionary principle. This principle is a cornerstone of environmental and public health policy, emphasizing caution in the face of scientific uncertainty. This principle dictates that if an action or policy has the potential to harm human health or the environment, it should be avoided until there is sufficient evidence to prove it is safe. This approach is particularly important in cases involving new technologies or substances, such as GMOs. In the absence of scientific consensus, the burden of proof falls on those taking the action. This means that companies and governments must demonstrate that their actions will not cause harm before proceeding. In this case, the court found that the government had failed to adequately assess the potential risks of GMOs. The decision was based on a thorough review of the evidence presented by both sides, including scientific studies and expert testimony. The court also highlighted procedural oversights in the GMO approval process. These oversights included a lack of comprehensive risk assessments and insufficient consideration of alternative approaches to achieving the same goals. It found that the government had not adequately consulted with the public or considered alternative solutions. Public consultation is a critical component of the decision-making process, ensuring that the voices of all stakeholders are heard and considered. This lack of transparency and public participation further fueled concerns about GMOs. Many people felt that their opinions and concerns were being ignored, leading to increased opposition to GMO approvals. The ruling represents a victory for environmental and consumer advocacy groups. These groups have long argued that GMOs pose potential risks to both the environment and human health, and that more rigorous scrutiny is needed. They had long argued for greater scrutiny of GMOs. Their efforts have now been validated by the court's decision, which emphasizes the importance of precaution and thorough risk assessment. The decision empowers citizens to hold their governments accountable for safeguarding public health and the environment. It sends a clear message that the public has a right to be involved in decisions that affect their lives and well-being. It sets a precedent for future decisions regarding GMOs. This ruling will likely influence how other countries approach GMO approvals, encouraging them to adopt more cautious and transparent processes. One of the primary concerns surrounding GMOs is their potential impact on the environment. Critics argue that GMOs pose a threat to biodiversity. They worry about the contamination of non-GMO crops through cross-pollination. This contamination could lead to the loss of traditional and indigenous varieties. Another concern is the development of herbicide-resistant superweeds. The use of glyphosate, a herbicide commonly used with GMOs, has been linked to the emergence of these resistant weeds. This, in turn, leads to an increase in herbicide use, further harming the environment. The long-term effects of GMOs on soil health and ecosystems remain largely unknown. Scientific studies have shown mixed results, with some indicating potential risks to soil health and biodiversity. Experts suggest that we should thoroughly assess the potential risks before releasing GMOs into the environment. The recent ruling by South Africa's Supreme Court addresses these concerns by reversing the approval of certain GMOs. This decision emphasizes the need for more comprehensive environmental impact assessments and adherence to the precautionary principle. Health on the line, GMOs and human well-being. The potential health effects of GMOs on human health are a subject of ongoing debate. While proponents argue that GMOs are safe for consumption, critics point to potential risks. These risks include allergies, toxicity, and antibiotic resistance. Recent research has linked GMO consumption to adverse health effects in animals, including organ damage and immune system disorders. Case studies have shown mixed results, with some indicating potential health risks, while others find no significant impact. The lack of conclusive evidence highlights the need for rigorous, independent scientific research on the safety of GMOs for human consumption. The precautionary principle suggests that we should prioritize human health over potential economic gains. The South African Supreme Court's reversal of GMO approval reflects these concerns, emphasizing the need for more comprehensive studies before widespread adoption. Analyzing the effects of the GMO verdict on farmers and corporations. The Supreme Court's ruling has profound economic implications for both farmers and biotechnology corporations. This landmark decision has sent ripples through the agricultural community and the biotech industry, creating a landscape of uncertainty and opportunity. For farmers, the decision creates uncertainty. Many farmers who have relied on GMO seeds for their crops are now facing a precarious future. The ruling has left them questioning the viability of their current farming practices. Farmers who have already invested in GMO seeds may face financial losses. The cost of these seeds is substantial, and the potential for reduced yields or market access could exacerbate their financial strain. This is a significant concern for small-scale farmers who operate on thin margins. The ruling could also lead to higher input costs as farmers transition to non-GMO alternatives. Non-GMO seeds often require different farming techniques and inputs, which can be more expensive and labor-intensive. This transition period could be particularly challenging for farmers who have built their operations around GMO crops. On the other hand, the ruling could create opportunities for farmers who choose to grow non-GMO crops. As the market shifts, these farmers might find new niches and demand for their products. The growing consumer preference for non-GMO and organic products could open up lucrative markets for them. Consumer demand for GMO-free products is on the rise. More and more consumers are becoming aware of the potential health and environmental impacts of GMOs, leading them to seek out non-GMO alternatives. This trend is reflected in the increasing number of GMO-free labels on grocery store shelves. This demand could translate into higher prices for non-GMO crops. Farmers who can meet this demand may see increased profitability, as consumers are often willing to pay a premium for products they perceive as healthier or more environmentally friendly. For biotechnology corporations, the ruling represents a significant setback. These companies have invested heavily in the development and promotion of GMO seeds, and the ruling could undermine their business models. The decision may force them to rethink their strategies and explore new markets or technologies. The South African market was seen as a key growth area for the GMO industry. The ruling could disrupt their expansion plans and limit their ability to capitalize on this market. This is a significant blow to their long-term growth prospects. The ruling could slow the expansion of GMOs in Africa and other parts of the developing world. Many developing countries have been targeted by biotech companies as potential markets for GMO crops, but this decision may lead to increased regulatory scrutiny and slower adoption rates. The future of GMOs in these regions is now more uncertain than ever. Major biotech companies are now reassessing their strategies. They may need to invest more in research and development to create new products that comply with stricter regulations. This could lead to innovation, but also increased costs and longer timelines for bringing new products to market. In response, farmers may seek out training and support to adapt to new agricultural practices. Workshops and educational programs could become essential as they navigate this transition. The collaboration between farmers, researchers, and policymakers will be crucial in shaping the future of agriculture in South Africa and beyond. GMOs on trial: public trust and the right to choose. The GMO debate is not just about science and economics, it's also about public trust and the right to choose. Consumers are increasingly concerned about the food they eat and where it comes from. They want to know whether their food contains GMOs and what the potential risks are. The lack of transparency and labeling requirements surrounding GMOs has eroded public trust. Consumers feel that they are being denied the right to make informed choices about the food they purchase. The Supreme Court's ruling is a victory for consumer rights. Reactions to the ruling have been mixed. Some consumers and advocacy groups are celebrating the decision as a win for transparency and the right to choose non-GMO products. Farmers and industry experts, however, express concerns about the potential economic impact and the feasibility of implementing new labeling requirements. This ruling underscores the broader issue of consumer rights and the importance of allowing individuals to make choices that align with their values. A ripple effect, international reactions, and African echoes. The South African court's decision has reverberated across the globe. Global organizations like the United Nations and the World Health Organization have issued statements acknowledging the ruling. It has also sparked debate about the future of GMOs, particularly in Africa. Several African countries are grappling with similar issues surrounding GMOs. They are weighing the potential benefits of increased crop yields against the potential risks to human health and the environment. The South African ruling could embolden other countries to take a more cautious approach to GMOs. It could also lead to stricter regulations and labeling requirements. Thank you for watching this deep dive on the Supreme Court's pivotal ruling in South Africa. If you found this insightful, hit the subscribe button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and share with anyone who's passionate about food security, environmental justice, or global trade. Stay tuned for more in-depth updates here on Mwaki Insights.